Good evening and welcome to Fortville, Indiana. Tonight it is the Mount Vernon Marauders, a record of 7-4, getting ready to take on the Cougars of Greenfield Central, who are 7-1. Along with Jim Leisure, I'm John Herrick. Thank you so much for being with us on 9-Star TV. Jim, this is a matchup that's always great every year. These two teams played each other last year. It went down into overtime. A lot of turnover for Mount Vernon, not as much for Greenfield Central from a year ago, but still both teams playing great basketball.
Yeah, without question, John. Again, it was 60-59 last year in overtime, and of those 60 points, Mount Vernon returns exactly 3, and that's from Eli Bridenthal, who had a big game against Westfield on Tuesday night with 15 points. Greenfield Central, on the other hand, returns 40 points. Dylan Moles, Braden Mullins, and Kirchhoff. So it should be, look at Luke Ertl, who is one of the 3 newcomers who start for the Marauders.
And 13 points a game for Luke. He, along with Julian Smith, those two guys both averaging 13. Ertl affects the game in so many different ways.
Yeah, he really does. He leads the team in assists, and he's up here in steals as well, and obviously he can score the ball. Coach Ben Rhodes clearly decided, you know what, we are going young. He starts 3 freshmen. I think he has another one on the roster. And again, they got some pretty good players. They got a chance to be really good. This is a very difficult Sectional 9. Includes Greenfield, New Palestine, Anderson, Muncie Central, Mount Vernon. It's really anybody's ball game right now. This is a big conference game.
Well, you're looking at the Marauders starting lineup coming out now. Before we get to that, let's talk about Dylan Moles for a second for Greenfield Central. He had an outstanding year last year as a junior. He's only built upon it so far, coming in at 22 points a game.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be the focus for Coach Ben Rhodes. Coach Luke Meredith, obviously the offense runs through Dylan, and they're going to try to get him started untracked, get him some good looks early. Hopefully he'll get in a groove for Coach Meredith and his Cougars.
Moles joined in the starting lineup by Will DeJarnett, Tyler Kirchhoff, Braylon Mullins, and Braden Robertson. Head coach Luke Meredith for Greenfield Central, 48-31 in his 4th year at the school. Mount Vernon, led by Coach Ben Rhodes, as Jim said, 68-38 is his record in 5 years at Mount Vernon. It's for them, Julian Smith, Luke Ertl, Eli Bridenthal, Armani Wells, and Adam Hackett. That's the starting lineup for the Mount Vernon Marauders. Mount Vernon's got 4 seniors, a junior, a sophomore, and 3 freshmen. And Greenfield Central has 6 seniors, 2 juniors, and 4 sophomores. Of course, student section in Mount Vernon always going crazy, and they are again to start this one. Mullins in the jump circle against Hackett, and Greenfield Central comes away with the opening tip.
You know, John, this gym is just about packed. It supposedly holds 2984. There's every bit of 25 or 600, maybe even more than that. Even the end zone seats are filled.
Mullins trying to get free, spins, had it knocked out of his hands, and they say he touched it last. Yeah, it was close. Eli Bridenthal played some great defense there and forced the turnover.
Yeah, I think it was a good call here. Looks like GC is going to start in a 3-quarter 1-2-2 zone press. We'll see whether this is just token or this is real. Looks like they're going to stay in. They're going to try to trap the ball just over the 10-second line.
And Smith comes across with it.
And they back out of it.
Smith averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds a game. Also a pretty good free throw shooter at the line, 70%. Mount Vernon shoots 48% as a team, 35% from 3, and they're 71% at the foul line collectively.
Greenfield starts in a 3-2 zone, a little different than the traditional 2-3. Of course, with a game where there's so many perimeter players, you probably want the 3-2 as opposed to the 2-3.
That defense almost forces a mistake. Ertl gives it back to Smith for a 3. And tracking the rebound down, Kirchhoff. Kirchhoff darting the other way, nearly threw it away, but saved by Robertson. Needs help, finds DeJarnett, and ball knocked away, and it's another steal. Second turnover already on Greenfield.
Certainly not the way you want to start there. You want to protect your possessions in a close ball game, and this one has all the earmarks, John, of being a very, very close game.
Greenfield shoots 61% from the field, 43% from 3, and 78% from the foul line. They score 62 points a game and allow 49. Mount Vernon scores 59, and they allow 53.
So Mount Vernon has found themselves in a lot of really close ball games, which is good for a young team. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose something. Maybe that's why they're 7-4, but you learn from it.
Greenfield Central student section also making the trip, made it making some noise right now, loving the way their team is playing defense. Breidenthal doesn't like what he sees and backs it out to Smith. Ertl inside to the open, jump shooting. Armani Wells, and he's off target. And Moles has it now for Greenfield Central.
Will DeJarnett with the rebound there. Nice job for him.
Crossing over, Moles loses it. And here comes Ertl, fouled up, and he got it to go, plus the foul. Nice take by Luke Ertl, and he's got a chance for a three-point play.
Well, yet another turnover for Greenfield Central. That's 3, and I think they only had the ball 3 times. I guess they're going to say that was on the floor, John, so no bucket.
Okay, so no bucket for Ertl. Wow, that's...
Yeah, I agree. That's
Mount Vernon fans not liking that, but it is the first foul of the game, and it's on Kirchhoff, so Tyler Kirchhoff picks that one up. Ertl tries to set things up for Mount Vernon.
Anytime you're facing a zone, you want to move the basketball. A 3-2, there's opportunities for slashes to the basket.
Wells gives a screen to Smith. He leaves it short. Wells the rebound for a second. Knocked away, but they're saying staying on this end, and another foul on Greenfield Central. Their second foul of the first half.
And there it is. They put it up on that's Braylon Mullins, his first. Now, we saw Mullins at Greenfield Central earlier in the season. Kurt Darling and I against New Pal. Mullins fouled out, and he fouled out quickly.
Long three by Hackett off target. Moles darting the other way. Somebody's going to have to score in this game eventually. When will that happen?
It's going to be like one of those old-fashioned, 12 to 11 games you used to see in the 1910s.
Mullins lets it fly. And the rebound snagged by Armani Wells. Mount Vernon trying to press before Greenfield Central can get in their defense. It's loose in the lane, picked up by Wells. Whistle. This time they do count the basket plus the foul. And it's probably good that Armani Wells got that shot to go down. Robertson picks up the foul, his first, team's third on Greenfield Central.
Yeah, a lot of good hustle there on the floor. You're going to see it on the replay here. Ball's just being kicked around. Nice little scrum there. The ball's never really tied up until Hackett just pulls it away from Robertson.
And Wells has struggled this year at the line, 44%, but he has no problem with that one. Now Mount Vernon coming with a little pressure here, but that's nothing Dylan Moles has not seen. He's got it on the cut, and he lost the ball on the line, out of bounds. Turnover to Greenfield Central. Again, that is their fourth.
Yeah, that's, again, if you're Coach Meredith, at some point you may want to think about just calling a timeout, calming him down a little bit. See him step on the line there. Right there. Great camera work by our crew.
Fantastic crew at 9 Star TV, run by John Painter. Appreciate all of his help. And Greenfield Central, one thing we should mention, Jim, they have not played a game since December 21st, as that one is knocked away by DeJarnett. So Greenfield Central's trying to get back into a bit of a groove here.
Yeah, they have not played since the December 21st, like you said. That was really, honestly, a fairly non-competitive game. Nice job off the back of the defender. Really bright play there by Breidenthal. He saw the defender guarding a man with his back to him. He throws the ball off his back, steps in, takes the ball off his back, puts it up and in, gets the foul. Hopefully we'll get a great look at that. Now, that to me, I still to this day don't understand why people play man-to-man underneath their opponent's basket. I think you have to zone that out. This is one of the reasons why.
And Braden Robertson picks up his second foul, and that's the fourth on Greenfield Central. So they are starting to mount. And that free throw is good by Breidenthal. So he's got 3, and Armani Wells has the other 3 for the Mount Vernon Marauders.
Both of them coming on the old-fashioned three-point plays, the hoop and the harm.
Owen Anderson checked in for Greenfield Central for Robertson, who's dealing with those 2 fouls, who went to the bench. DeJarnett kicking it out. Driving in, Kirchhoff, and he draws the first Mount Vernon foul of the game. That is on Eli Breidenthal. And at the line this year, Kirchhoff has been solid, 82%. Yep, a little bit on the arm. Also a big Hoosier Heritage Conference battle, so conference positioning is on the line in this one. Kirchhoff finally able to get Greenfield Central on the board a little over the midway point of the first quarter. Also, Jim, this is Greenfield Central's best start in years. That one misses, and rebounded by Julian Smith.
Yeah, Coach Ben Rhodes has done a really nice job of at least getting the Cougars competitive. Prior to his arrival, they had some really difficult years, and no excuse for the county seat of any county not to at least compete, and he's at least got them doing that.
Bridenthal swinging it to Smith. Smith being harassed. Now Ertl. Ertl forced to back it out. Kirchhoff drives him back to the perimeter. Now a three by Smith. Got it! Julian Smith, the third different Mount Vernon player to score. He, Bridenthal, and Wells all have 9 points.
You know, and that was the first possession where I thought that Mount Vernon had a little bit of an answer to that Greenfield defense. I was starting to wonder whether Greenfield's 3-2 was something maybe the Marauders had not seen on tape, hadn't really practiced against them, and weren't ready for.
Mullins spinning, shooting, scoring. There's the first field goal made by Greenfield Central. Mount Vernon has the edge in the series going back 35 years. They lead Greenfield Central 30-21 during that span. Both these teams have played pretty competitive schedules as well. Now the three-point shooting starting to come alive for Mount Vernon. Adam Hackett knocks it down from the outside.
About 2 minutes to play in the first quarter here, and again, you can kind of feel a little bit of a momentum advantage to Mount Vernon. You wonder whether or not a timeout at some point from Greenfield Central may not be a bad idea.
Hackett shoots 37% from downtown. That one nearly turned over. Anderson chases that down. Anderson's been good for Greenfield Central off the bench this year. 8 points, 3 rebounds a game as a 6'1 senior. He's got it. Now he hands it off to Mullins for 3. Fight for the rebound. Anderson tips it out to Moles. Moles drives. Another pass out to the wing. 3 by Kirchhoff. Yes! Tyler Kirchhoff has all 4 of Greenfield's 6 points to this point, and Greenfield Central calling a timeout here with 98 seconds left in the first quarter. Along with Jim Leisure, I'm John Herrick, and there's also a look at Ben Rhodes, the Mount Vernon coach, going back to his respective huddle. So right now, Jim, you gotta feel pretty good about where you are if you're Greenfield Central. You started off this game struggling, as you know, Ben Rhodes a very solid record during his time at Mount Vernon, but man, this was a game where you started off really getting into it behind the 8 ball, and yet if you're Greenfield, you're only down 6.
No doubt about it. I mean, when your first 4 possessions, all 4 result in a turnover, and to find yourself just down 6, big three-pointer there. And again, I like what their defense is doing. They're forcing Mount Vernon to work. Again, I did not get an opportunity to reach out to the coaches this week. Generally, I do it by email if I do it at all, but I just wonder whether they weren't ready for the 3-2, because it seems to be causing Mount Vernon a little bit of trouble.
Some of the three-point shooting for Greenfield. Moles shoots 55% from 3. Kirchhoff 37. Anderson hasn't taken very many of them. He's 3 of 6. That's 50%. 47% is Mullins. So all these players know how to shoot. If you can shoot over 35%, that's pretty good. That's better than average. Smith forced to give it up. Almost turns it over. Picked up by Ertl. Down inside. Layup good for Eli Bridenthal.
Well, the extra pass worked that time, and actually I thought Eli may have gotten bumped a little bit. Greenfield Central may have gotten away with a foul there. They're already in a little bit of foul trouble with 4 in the first quarter.
Bridenthal, also a big football star here at Mount Vernon, part of a state championship team last fall. Only he is back from last year's team. 3 ball by Moles. I think somebody might have gotten a piece of that. Rebounded by Hackett. And he is going to get the air ball chant as he goes back on defense. Ertl lets it fly. Fight for the rebound. 1 by Hackett, but then he couldn't get the follow, and Moles comes up with it. Nice pass down the floor, and the layup for Braylon Mullins.
Well, you credit Hackett with a rebound. You also credit Moles with a rebound there off of Hackett's miss, so a lot of quick action there.
Waning seconds of the first quarter. Smith lost it, able to keep it in play, got it to Hackett somehow, and brings it back out. Clearly, Mount Vernon wants to hold for the final shot.
Yeah, I thought maybe they might do it on the last possession.
Smith in trouble to Hackett. He's got to let it fly, and does, and it barely grazes the rim as the first quarter is over. At the end of one, Mount Vernon 14 and Greenfield Central 8. Back to start the second in a moment on 9 Star TV.
We are really heavily involved in the community, so there are multiple different volunteer opportunities that we can go and do.
Volunteer time to share their time and talents with organizations that need not only monetary assistance, but just people's time to help those organizations grow and thrive.
9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Festive night in Fortville. A lot of great folks out watching this one between Greenfield Central and Mount Vernon. Along with Jim Leisure, I'm John Herrick. Thanks for being with us on 9 Star TV, Jim. Really not a great start for Greenfield Central, yet they're only down 6, and their shooting is starting to come alive here.
Yeah, without question. Again, in these ball games, you don't want to get off to that kind of start, but if you do get off to it, then you want to just kind of slowly crawl back into it, and they have done that. They find themselves down by 6 at the end of one. Could have been a lot worse. I'm sure Coach Meredith is probably telling his kids that, all right, guys, now we go, right? We got it figured out. We're protecting the basketball a little better. This quarter's ours. We'll see if that, in fact, turns out to be the case.
What do you think keys are to the second quarter for both teams?
Again, if you're Greenfield Central, I like what they're doing with the three-quarter court press. And again, you still stick with the 3-2, continue to try to steal possessions. If you're Mount Vernon, you just got to come up with an answer to this. Call it a 1-2-2 or a 3-2, whatever you want. They've clearly got 3 guys up top, 2 on the baseline. So now you're going to see ball screens.
Mount Vernon was 4-3, and then they won 3 games in a row before losing a tough one to Westfield earlier this week. Greenfield Central has not lost since December 9th. That was a 53-46 defeat to New Palestine.
Now, I'm already seeing more movement right now, just movement without the ball, John, for Mount Vernon. So, again, Mount Vernon, Coach Rhodes said, all right, we're going to set ball screens that you see right there.
Smith lets it go, off the mark. Offensive rebound stripped away from Tanner Teschendorf, who's in the game for the first time. And they keep it alive, and it leads to a 3 by Adam Hackett, his second of the game. Right now, one thing that Mount Vernon is winning, Jim, the loose balls. They're getting to every one of them.
Yeah, both these teams basically do well on the offensive boards.
Missed 3 by Braylon Mullins, rebounded by Teschendorf. Smith slows it down. Touch pass, Hackett, he loves that corner 3, and I wonder why. He's hit another one. 9 points for Adam Hackett, all from downtown.
And all from that, like you said, the exact same spot. I mean, 100 years ago, John, back in the 70s, there used to be a guy for the Sixers. His name was Steve Mix. And that was Mix's shot, just right there. He didn't shoot from anywhere else.
Mullins to the cup, can't finish, fight for the rebound, put back up and a foul. The offensive rebound to Dalen King. King coming in off the bench for the first time today for Greenfield Central. And that goes on Adam Hackett, and that is his first and the team's second in this half.
And, John, I think because there's 2 number 10s on the roster, I believe that's Jake Hinton.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
No worries. I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Hinton know, watching at home. Are saying, hey, that's Jake.
And Hinton this season, 3 points, 2 rebounds a game, a 6'3" junior forward, able to make the first and the second. And he hasn't taken a whole lot of free throws. He's now 7 of 9, though, on the year. So when he has taken them, he's been pretty reliable there.
Well, that's a Greenfield team that shoots pretty well from the line, 78% as a team.
Ertl to Teschendorf, who's trapped. Looks like Greenfield's bringing out that zone pressure a little bit more.
They have extended it a little bit. And you got Mullins at the top there with those long arms, and he can just defend space. You know, he doesn't really have to be all in the grill of the ball handler. He can defend from 6 feet away.
Another sub in the game for Mount Vernon. Connor Schenk has the ball here. He passes. It gets tipped and deflected, but Adam Hackett ends up with it. Hackett drives, dips it back to Schenk. Almost had it, but couldn't finish. Rebound knocked away. They say it was touched last by Hackett.
Well, Hackett got the ball on the wrong side of the floor. He's looking, going, what are you doing, guys? Wait till I get on the other side there. They used to call Steve Mix the mayor of Mixville. That was considered Mixville. and he would go find that spot. They'd set screens and double screens for him.
Mullins inbounds to Moles. Remember that game we had between these two? It was Greenfield Central and New Pal last year, Jim. Game came down to the wire. New Pal ended up winning that one. A lot of good battles between those two rival schools. These two also pretty big rivals as well.
Yeah, I think between them and Pendleton Heights, the four teams all compete, and that's clearly a foul.
Yeah, I mean, but this is the type of treatment that Dylan Moles is going to get.
Yeah.
He's going to draw double teams a lot. Third foul collectively on Mount Vernon in the first half. They have 3 team fouls and 4 on Greenfield Central. That one was against Tanner Teschendorf, his first. We've played nearly 3 minutes in the second. 2 quick threes out the gate in this quarter from Hackett, pushed the lead to 12. Greenfield Central trying to cut their way back into it. That's one way to help. Braylon Mullins is fouled, and he gets fouled by Teschendorf. So Teschendorf off the bench to begin the second quarter for Mount Vernon has now picked up 2 quick fouls.
Well, this is what Mullins loves to do. We've already seen it on a couple of possessions. He likes to drive. You know, if you cut off the drive, he will spin. Some guys will just pop and try to shoot it. But he likes to spin, and he does a good job of getting his shoulder square to the basket and getting the shot off.
And Mullins, not only does he average 15 points, he also averages 6 rebounds a game, and normally he's a pretty good free throw shooter, 82% offline on that one, though. See how he does with this one. Got that. So they have made 4 of 5 from the line has Greenfield Central, and they only have 3 field goals. A 3 and the other 2 were 2-pointers. They bring up the pressure. Ertl slows it up, gives it back to Smith. Hackett run off the 3-point line. You got to do that with him, you know, especially with the way he's shooting it tonight. Moles knocked it free, but it goes out of bounds. Stays with Mount Vernon. So Jake Hinton comes out, and Braden Robertson back in for him. Remember, he's got to be careful. He's playing with 2 fouls. Ertl receives the inbound pass. We talked about how Mount Vernon, as Smith lets go of a 3, misses, fight for the rebound. Won by Brady Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald, I think he's called for traveling, yep. And that brings the Greenfield Central fans to life. So we mentioned, Jim, earlier, Greenfield Central hasn't played since December 21st, and since the Christmas break, though, it's been 4 games for Mount Vernon. They played on the 22nd, 2 games on the 29th, and then on the 3rd of January.
Yeah, they won. They got wins over Newcastle, Floyd Central, and University. Those last 2 in like you said, a tournament. They played Westfield tough Tuesday night. We're actually winning at halftime.
Moles cannot get on track. He's fouled. He misses, but then there's a foul there on. That's on Will DeJarnette, his first, and the 5th on Greenfield Central. Just nothing is coming easy for Moles. Still has not scored tonight.
Good job by Breidenthal just getting his body on DeJarnette a little bit. DeJarnette gets the foul there.
Hackett, this time a 2-pointer, no. Rebounded by Kirchhoff. Kirchhoff sprinting down the floor, leaving it for Mullins, and Mullins converts. So Mullins has 7 to lead Greenfield Central in scoring. They are now down by 7.
Nice trap right over the 10-second line. Just a bad idea.
And Smith knew it right away, and so did his coach, Ben Rhodes, who decided to call a timeout. Rhodes immediately pulls out that clipboard. So as you saw from the official 30-second timeout, there's Luke Meredith, the head coach at Greenfield Central. And I remember you and we talked to him last year. I mentioned the New Pal game you and I did. And he said to both of us, it's about getting these guys to play with more pride, and that it's not about the past. It's about making the present better so we can have a better future. And based on the way Greenfield Central's come out this year, they're really buying into what he's selling.
Yeah, and you can see on the shoulder of one of the assistant coaches the word chip, obviously chip on your shoulder. Coach Meredith is really kind of one of those guys that loves those little motivational phrases. He tells the kids play, like you got a chip on your shoulder. When he first got here, the mantra was bring the juice. They now call their where they play their basketball gym, they call it the juice box. He's really into that kind of stuff. And you know what? Some of it may be a little, I don't know, silly, I guess, if you will. But if the kids buy into it, it's amazing what kids will just kind of rally around.
And they brought up the pressure. Floater missed by Ertl, rebounded by Mullins. Up ahead, Moles had to get rid of it before he traveled, and somehow saved from going out of bounds by Robertson. He's trapped, able to get rid of it. Kirchhoff can't quite finish. He had a nice take. Then it's stolen away by Moles. Moles got it to roll in for him. Dylan Moles finally able to get on track there, and then a whistle. Sub coming in. Armani Wells, and Hackett comes out. Ben Rhodes, the Mount Vernon coach, not happy with something.
Well, I'm not sure why there was a whistle. Just a made bucket. I mean, if you got to wipe the floor, maybe if there's perspiration, whatever. But made bucket normally, the only time there's going to be a stoppage of play would be a timeout.
I mean, you just wonder too about, I don't know, delay a game possibly. Smith loses it. Ertl tracks it down. Ertl's in trouble, has to get away from Moles. Ertl down the lane, layup good. Ertl's first basket of the night, and that ends a 5-0 run by Greenfield Central.
Ertl does a really nice job at dribbling his way out of that, a la Marcus Haynes there. Ends up leaving 2 Cougar defenders on the floor, and all of a sudden now Mount Vernon's got a 5-on-3, and he decides to take it home.
Mount Vernon has led by as many as 12. Dallas, rather that was Robertson who backed it out. Now it's Moles again. Moles starting to feel more of it. He's got confidence again. He's, after being held scoreless through the first and most of this quarter, back-to-back drives in for layups.
Yeah, that's what Moles and Mullins both love to do. They love to drive the lane. They got great body control, great athleticism, and so they can finish at the rim. You almost wish you had a big rim protector, a 6'8", 6'10" kid.
Smith blocked by Mullins on that. Rolls out of bounds, so it stays with Mount Vernon.
But, very few teams do. We had the opportunity over the break to watch 6'10" Flory Badunga from Kokomo. And honestly, he never leaves the paint. He just stays in there and protects the rim.
Ertl for 3. No. Got his own rebound for a moment, then Moles took it away, and Moles couldn't quite save it. But you can just tell, Moles is everywhere.
Yeah.
Offensively and defensively, he is really picking it up, putting the pressure on the Marauders.
Well, he doesn't have any fouls, so he can afford to be a little bit reckless. And I'm not saying he's being reckless, but, he can afford to really take some chances because he doesn't have any fouls.
And nice take by Ertl. Rim doesn't kind to him there, but Smith gets the offensive rebound.
Julian Smith actually leads the team in offensive rebounds. It's insane. You would think a small perimeter player like that wouldn't normally, he'd get his share, but
he's around the rim a lot. I feel like after he passes the ball, he cuts a lot. Unless the offense calls for him to stay somewhere. They're moving it around the wing, and Breidenthal for 3. No. There's a rebound by Kirchhoff. Greenfield Central can make it a one-possession game here. Kirchhoff leaves it for Robertson for 3. No. And here is on the move, Ertl.
Just off the front of the rim there.
But that was one of Greenfield Central's best looks offensively they've had in a while.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad look or a bad shot. It may have been he was about 3 feet behind the line, and he missed it by about 8 inches.
This time a response by Breidenthal. Eli Breidenthal has 8 points. He and Hackett have 17 of Mount Vernon's 25 points.
Now in the first half Tuesday against Westfield, Breidenthal went nuts from behind the arc.
Moles driving, shooting, missing, rebound Ertl. He's got 10 seconds. Ertl almost lost it, got it back. Ertl with 6 seconds. Hackett drives, shoots, misses, rebounded by Robertson. 2-1, he lets it fly, and it's off the side of the backboard, and that does it for the first half. Mount Vernon 25, Greenfield Central 17. Second half from Mount Vernon comes your way in a little bit. You're watching high school boys basketball on 9 Star TV.
Nine Star is very focused on customer and member care, focused on making sure that however we communicate with the member and customer is how they want to communicate.
You know, sometimes we're the one person that they speak to in a day, and you want that conversation to be happy and pleasant.
As a nonprofit co-op, we're focused on providing the best service we can for our members.
9-Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
Your halftime score at Mount Vernon, 25-17. They lead the Greenfield Central Cougars on 9-Star TV. Along with Jim Leisure, I'm John Herrick. Thank you so much for being with us on this Friday night. Both these teams with 7 wins coming in. Greenfield Central 7-1, Mount Vernon 7-4. Scoring in the first half, Mount Vernon led by Adam Hackett, who has 9 points, all on 3-pointers. Eli Breidenthal has 8, 3 points each for Julian Smith and Armani Wells, and 2 for Luke Ertl. Scoring for Greenfield Central, 7 points for Braylon Mullins, 4 points each for Dylan Moles and Tyler Kirchhoff, and 2 for Jake Hinton. Also, conference positioning on the line in this one, Jim. Mount Vernon 3-0 in the Hoosier Heritage Conference. Greenfield Central 1-1, their one loss being to New Pal. So your Greenfield Central, you really want to come in tonight and steal one on the road to put you within striking distance of Mount Vernon, because right now the Marauders are sitting atop the conference standings in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to go down 2 losses in the conference if you're Greenfield Central, you look forward on their schedule. As far as conference games they've got left, they've got Newcastle, they've got Shelbyville, they've got Pendleton Heights, and Delta. So, tonight, I guess, from all those teams, as you look at the standings right there, they've played Mount Vernon tonight, New Pal already. So, they're in a position where, but if they do go down 2 losses, that's going to put them in a tough spot. They're going to need a lot of help if they want to tie for the conference. Mount Vernon, of course, wants to win and stay on top and continue to tie with those New Palestine Dragons.
Again, it's still early in the season, a lot to decide, but we still want to let you know what's at stake here in the Hoosier Heritage Conference. And if you're just joining us, Mount Vernon is the team in white. Greenfield Central is the team in blue. Of course, the pep band for Mount Vernon, loud and proud, keeping this crowd energized. Also, really cool moment before the game, Jim. I thought the Best Buddies program was talked about, individuals with and without intellectual and developmental disabilities committed to promoting and educating audiences about the mission. They had a student talk about that before the game. In their color for the Best Buddies is purple, so that's why you see a lot of people in this building tonight wearing purple T-shirts to honor the Best Buddies program. So really has added to make the environment all that more special here tonight at Mount Vernon. Dylan Moles brings up the ball. We are underway in the second half. Moles. And he is fouled. Question is by who? They could have called that on any number of Mount Vernon players under the basket.
And my guess would have been 32 on Hackett, which that is, in fact, just heard it on the PA there. So.
Yep, and that is his second, so he's got to be careful. He and Tanner Teschendorf, a Mount Vernon role player off the bench, both have 2 fouls. The only Greenfield Central player in foul trouble is Braden Robertson. Moles is money at the free throw line this year. As you can see there, 93%. That's just practice, rhythm, and routine right there.
And that's all that was, because he really didn't take a lot of time. As again, Greenfield's going to come out in the trap, the full 3/4 court, I guess. And you could say it was full court pressure.
And this game started off scoreless and sloppy to begin the game. And this one might be on Moles. Yes, it is. So Dylan just picked up his first on the reach. So, yeah, this was a very hard game to start off with. Neither team could get really on track offensively. Moles doesn't seem to be buying the call there. And then all of a sudden, Mount Vernon got hot. But Greenfield Central's defense, even though they've only scored 19, it's not like their D isn't working.
Oh, no, not at all. I think their defense is creating problems for Mount Vernon. To be honest with you, Mount Vernon averages about 60 points a game, and, they're well below that average, really.
Both these teams, just by the way it's been played tonight, looks like they're going to finish well below their average. That's got to be a held ball. Yep. Will DeJarnette did an excellent job of tying up Armani Wells, but Mount Vernon has the possession arrow, so they get to keep it. And Breidenthal plays it in.
Yeah, you're going to see it on the replay here. I was wondering if they're going to say they got him on the wrist. He did have a little bit of his body, but again, I like the call. I think that's the best call there.
Smith to Ertl. Here's a driving Breidenthal. No. Rebound tipped up in the air. Grabbed. Then we have I think a technical foul is going to be called on Ben Rhodes.
I think you're right.
Because they just issued a T. Yeah, looked like he thought there should have been a foul call earlier. He's been rather animated tonight on the sideline. Of course, You know how important this game is to both these teams. And yeah, he starts going up and down on the sideline right here, and I think that's where the official said, I have had enough. So Dylan Moles to the line.
Well, again, that's the wrong guy if you're Mount
Right.
Vernon that you want up there. Dude shoots about 94% probably now. Really soft and just smooth. Again, just like you talked about, John, that rhythm. Again, he gets rid of it quickly, but you can tell that's part of his MO.
And this is where, if you are the Mount Vernon assistant coaches and John Rocky, Nate Bingham, and Dave Merica, you got to find a way to make sure you keep Rhodes contained. And Rhodes he said something to the back end official who was coming back into your picture here. So,
well, totally impossible to hear what he said from here, John, but you could see, and you did a great job of pointing it out on the replay. He came from his spot on the bench all the way down to the baseline, jumping, flailing his arms. The official just said, you know what, we're not doing that.
Moles to Mullins. Mullins slashes inside, up, in, plus the foul on Mount Vernon. So Greenfield Central starting to make a move here. They call that on Adam Hackett, an even bigger problem for the Marauders. Their leading scorer in this game just picked up his third foul.
And off the bench for Mount Vernon is Brady Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald played a little bit in the first half. He averages 3 points, 2 rebounds a game, has not scored yet. And Mullins has had a solid night for Greenfield Central. He's got 9. Stays that way. Could not convert. That's very unusual for him to be 1 of 3 at the line. But a little too much on that. 3 ball. Smith, yep. Julian Smith, his first basket since the first quarter. And he's got 6. The lead is back to 5 for Mount Vernon.
Well, for a young man that averages 13, it's just a matter of time before he gets untracked, especially if you give him that good of a look.
Kirchhoff lost it. Moles picks it up. Moles drawing attention, missing on the shot attempt, and a whistle. Looks like this one might be against Mullins. Yep, it is.
So again, that's player displacement there, where he goes over the back and just makes enough contact that the player moves. That's literally what it means, player displacement.
Greenfield Central has never led tonight. They got down 12-1, and then they got a basket. Went on a 5-0 run a couple of times, but every time they've made those runs, Mount Vernon's had a response. 3-ball corner pocket. Offline there from Fitzgerald, and on the move comes Greenfield Central. Mullins lets it fly. Rebound, tip try, no, but a good effort by Will DeJarnette to draw the foul on the Marauders. And that is on Armani Wells, who just picked up his first, the team's second.
Well, good body placement by DeJarnette here. You're going to see ball goes up. He looks for somebody to get his body up against. And once again, that little slap of the arm is what was called.
DeJarnette, one of 6 seniors on this roster. He averages 4 points, 6 rebounds a game. And he has struggled at the line this year. Came in 44%, goes 1 of 2 there. But it cuts the deficit down to 4. Smith to Ertl. Ertl spinning and driving. The shot does not go down. He is fouled, though. The question is, was it in the act of shooting? That's what they have to figure out. I think that's on Robertson. And that is his third. And the team's third.
Now, the official indicated that he got him with a block.
I think I missed. Yep, I can't do basic math. I think I said there were only 2 fouls on Mount Vernon. There are 4. So they have 4. Greenfield Central has 3. And free throw missed by Ertl. 2 points tonight. That's another big storyline in this game. He made the second, but Ertl coming in, averaging 13 a game. He and Smith averaging 13. Smith has 6 and he has 3. Driving all the way to the cup and drawing the foul is Moles.
Well, again, that's his game, John. He likes to slash to the rim, and again, either stop me, or I can kick it back out. You're going to see the replay here. Really just wide open lane, and what it boils down to again, just knocking him forward.
And Armani Wells picks that one up, and Moles a rare miss.
Yeah, actually, John, there's been quite a few missed free throws for two teams that
Right.
shoot 71 and 78% from the line. In my opinion, there's been a lot of missed free throws.
And Greenfield Central's missed 4 free throws collectively tonight, but they're only down 4. Mount Vernon just hasn't gotten there a whole lot. They're 3 of 4 as a team, and Ertl tried to drive in and a whistle.
Yeah, splits the two defenders there, and one of them reaches in and grabs him.
That's on Tyler Kirkhoff, his second and the team's 4th. Smith weaving his way through to the corner. Breidenthal offline on the 3, but Breidenthal tracks down his own rebound. Breidenthal left side of 3 by Teschendorf, and Teschendorf can't convert. Rebounded by Mullins. Mullins knocked down. Foul starting to mount here for both teams.
That was going to go on Teschendorf.
And if that is,
oh, I'm sorry, they misspoke. Breidenthal.
so that's Breidenthal's second. So they've got Teschendorf, Breidenthal, Wells all with 2, and Hackett's got 3.
Well, if they can get all 3 of those guys to the fourth quarter at that same number, they'll be okay.
And neither of these teams go real deep on the bench. And Ertl swats that one away. Ertl down the lane, lost it. Did it go off of Greenfield Central, though? No, it went off of Mount Vernon, so that's a turnover on them. They've played a pretty clean game turnover-wise. That's just their 3rd. Greenfield Central's given it away 5 times. And yep,
the ball just goes right off Ertl's foot there, as you see on the replay.
And Mullins got his hand in there to make things a little bit difficult.
Good call by the officials there. They were hustling. They were down there. One of them kind of looked at the other one like, what do you got? He's like, I got it off wide. He's like, me too.
This is DeJarnette in trouble. Out to Kirkhoff for 3, and Tyler Kirkhoff with his second 3 of the night. He's got 7, and Greenfield Central at one point down by 11, now within 1.
You know, this game is reminding me, John, a little bit of Tuesday's game, Mount Vernon-Westfield. Mount Vernon was up 6 or 7 at halftime, and then Westfield just kind of came out, and you could see kind of that experience take over.
And Smith, I think, was trying to get it to the corner to Brady Fitzgerald, and Fitzgerald was not expecting the pass, and it gets thrown out of bounds. So now Greenfield Central with a chance to get the lead here.
Another empty possession for Mount Vernon. So again, you just wonder whether the experience on the floor.
Traveling violation called on Mullins. He can't believe it. Trying to plead his case and say, no, I didn't use my pivot foot. 3.5 remaining in what has been a very entertaining basketball game, as it usually is when these two teams play each other. Last year it went into overtime between these two, and Mount Vernon won by 1. Smith shot faking, driving, now has to back it out.
Two schools separated by about 8 miles, John, no more than 10. And these kids all know each other. A lot of them play different sports amongst each other and against each other.
And they've grown up playing against each other.
Yep.
Smith off on the shot. There's Ertl, who had it for a second, lost it. Ball loose in the lane, still loose, bodies everywhere, and dug out by Moles. Moles up the floor, behind the back dribble. Moles scores. Dylan Moles, his 3rd field goal of the game. He's got 11. And this is the first time that Greenfield Central has led tonight. Bad pass, turnover, Marauders.
Well, Breidenthal again trying to fight in the corner, and just the pass just gets away from him.
I got to tell you, I hate to say this because Ben Rhodes won't like to hear it. I think the game kind of turned on that technical foul.
Yeah, and it's a lot of times coaches use those tees to kind of fire their team up. This one kind of went the other way. Again, if this possession ends in a bucket, Coach Rhodes may want to take a timeout.
And Moles has it blocked, but I think he was fouled before that. And when those free throws went down for Moles, I think that gave him the belief that he can start getting going in this game. Referees conferring about something here.
They want to see if it was like some type of flagrant or something.
It's on Julian Smith, his first, and the team's 7th. I think what they had to decide was it on the floor or was it, in the act of shooting? Because if it's on the floor, it's 1-1.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if they've made it. We're going to see it right here. I think it was definitely in the act of shooting. There's no way it's on the floor.
Yeah.
I just think the way he went down, maybe they thought there was some flagrancy there.
Okay.
Just.
So he should get 2 free throws then coming up. By the way, our next broadcast, January 13th, you and I will be back in action. New Palestine and Pendleton Heights. Another big Hoosier Heritage Crossroad battle, Jim. Looking forward to that. We do so many great New Palestine and Pendleton Heights games over the years, whether it's been football, basketball, softball, baseball, whatever it is. Always a good rivalry game when New Pal and Pendleton Heights get together.
Yeah, the Hoosier Heritage Conference is just, again, full of those teams. You've got Greenfield, you got Mount Vernon, you got New Palestine, you got Pendleton, and those are the 4 main ones. You got Shelbyville, on the south side. You got Delta and Yorktown kind of north and east. And then you got Newcastle in there a couple years ago. Newcastle joined the conference. Just good sports, good wrestling, good basketball, good football, good baseball, good softball. I mean, every good volleyball. Every one of those teams that I mentioned has
good
had a state
spirit.
championship. Yeah, good school spirit.
Yep.
Great bands. This is kind of, what the high school experience should be about, regardless of sport. But every one of those schools I mentioned has had a state championship in something in the last 10 years.
So Moles to the line. 5 of 6 from there, 6 of 7. He averages 22 points, 4 assists per game. Did not score in the first period, 4 in the second, and he cannot get that one. So a 93% free throw shooter, and Moles has missed 2 of them. But his team leads by 2. That's the 5th miss for Greenfield Central at the foul line collectively. That could be paramount as we come down the stretch. Breidenthal, risky pass in the lane. That is the 3rd straight turnover for Mount Vernon, and the layup on the other side for Mr. Moles.
Well, again, the defensive pressure, they're extending it out, trying to get that trap. Greenfield Central early on was real happy with just being that 3-2 across the free throw line. Now look at them. They're all the way out past the arc.
Greenfield Central, the bench there, Luke Meredith, their head coach, wanted a charge on that play earlier between Ertl and
once again, Braylon Mullins' length there. I mean, Smith thought he had somebody in the high post, and Mullins put those big arms up. Smith thought better of it.
Yeah, they're very tall. Moles 6'3", DeJarnette 6'3", Kirchhoff 6'1", Mullins 6'4", Robertson 6'3".
He's just a great guy to have, though, at the point of this zone. He's so long and so tall.
Mount Vernon's only had 1 field goal in this quarter. That was a 3 by Smith. Inside to Keschendorf, out to Breidenthal, 3, no. Smith skies for the board and is fouled going back up. So there you go. I mean, it's like he hits the boards harder than most guards, like you said, leading the team in offensive rebounds, and he showed why right there.
Yeah, he had 21 coming into the ballgame. I know he's got 2 now already, maybe 3. And then you see again that the foul over the back by Brolins. Now, the foul's not over the back. The foul is player displacement. Mullins hit him, moved him forward. Smith misses the first one.
Yeah, and you can't be missing free throws now if you're Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon won the first quarter 14-8, the second quarter 11-9, but they have gotten dominated in this quarter. An 8-point lead is now turned into a 4-point deficit. Make it 3. Where does the offense come from them? But first, they got to find a way to get a stop on this possession.
If they could beat that upper 3 on the dribble, then they're going to have great lanes for people to cut, go to the rim, dish, whatever. But they got to get past that formidable 3-man front there of Greenfield Central.
Moles, thought about pulling the 3. He certainly is capable from shooting it that far out.
Yeah, Moles can score from anywhere.
Owen Anderson back in the game as a sub off the bench for Greenfield Central. Kirchhoff in trouble, bounces it down inside, and the layup goes in for Jake Hinton, who's back in the game. And Hinton with his first field goal, he's got 4. Smith the other way. Fitzgerald was calling for it in the corner. He didn't see him. Greenfield Central now leads 35-30 as we go to the fourth on 9 Star TV.
When moving into a new home, we ask ourselves questions like, who is the best internet provider in town? Well, have you considered locally owned 9 Star Connect? We've become the fastest, most reliable, and dedicated fiber-to-the-home internet company in Central Indiana. Our internet packages have been modified, and we are changing speeds at a more competitive price. So give us a look. Visit us at 9starconnect.com. 9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
The scoring difference in that third quarter, Greenfield Central outscored Greenfield Central outscored Mount Vernon 18-5. And 10 of those 18 points for the Cougars came from Dylan Moles. He got 6 points from the line, 2 more field goals, and after having a scoreless first quarter, Dylan Moles now has 14 points to lead all scorers, along with Jim Leisure. I'm John Herrick. Thank you so much for joining us on 9 Star TV. Big Hoosier Heritage Conference battle. Mount Vernon won this game last year in overtime, but Greenfield Central, ever since they struggled to start the game, they have found a way to creep back in it, and then they really tilted things in their favor in the third quarter. So, Jim, how does Mount Vernon turn this around?
Well, again, I think you've got to find a way to penetrate that front three, those 3 guys up at the top of that zone. If you can do that either by pass or dribble, you got a shot.
Offline on that 3 is Kirchhoff. Rebound, he might have been out of bounds. He was. Breidenthal was out of bounds, but he was also fouled.
Yeah, I think they're going to call the foul because Breidenthal came down with it, and then the whistle blew immediately. So you thought maybe he might have been on the line, but I think they called that on number 10.
Jake Hinton. So Hinton just picked up his first. And Greenfield Central bringing that full court pressure. So both teams are now in the bonus for the remaining 7:38 of this one.
You know, one thing I did notice in the third quarter is that Hackett didn't get free for any threes. So credit Coach Meredith and his defense.
He also got in foul trouble.
Yeah.
He picked up his third foul.
Now he's in the game, and you just got to let the kid play. He's got to learn to play with fouls.
Teschendorf in trouble, giving it up to Breidenthal.
Well, Greenfield just trapping everybody, man. They're everywhere.
They might be calling this one on Hinton, and Hinton saying, wait a second.
Yeah, Jake's arguing that he tied it up, and he might have. Again, those are very difficult calls that are made, very quickly. Breidenthal 70%. We're going to see the replay here.
Well, he did get the ball, but he's over the top, and his arm is on his shoulder, so that's the tough call.
Yeah,
there.
And the officials a lot of times will just make those calls based on what they've seen in the past. If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck, right? So they call it.
Breidenthal's a 70% free throw shooter. He is 2 of 2 tonight. He now has 9 points. He and Hackett lead the team in scoring this evening. Now he's got 10. He is the sole scoring leader. 35-32. He averages 10. He has 10. But Julian Smith, who averages 13 points a game, he's only got 7. And Luke Ertl averages 13. He's only got 3. Mullins might have traveled, and he did. Yep. Had a feeling they were going to call that. So 2 empty possessions to start off the fourth quarter now for Greenfield Central. Hinton comes out. So does Owen Anderson. And Greenfield Central puts back in Braden Robertson. And there's one more look at the Mullins mistake.
Yeah, again, Braylon likes that to be aggressive and likes that kind of spin move. And sometimes, spin a little too much and you drag that foot.
Ertl, who's got it now, was a starting quarterback on Mount Vernon's team as a freshman. Kicking it out. Smith curling in the lane. Got it. Julian Smith has 9. The lead is down to 1 for Greenfield.
Well, you talk about those 2 empty possessions there. Smith's going to get called for a quick one.
That's his second. Team's 8th. So that's 1-1 bonus time for Greenfield Central. And he fouled the wrong guy.
Yeah. And about 6.5 minutes here. You can't really get 2 more. You're going to go in the double bonus. So
Good call there because he wrapped his arms around him before that. Moles able to hit that to get another.
You know, the other, we talked about the rust of not playing since December 21st, John, and maybe that's a little bit of what Greenfield came out early, a little sloppy, a little sluggish, and now they've kind of gotten their groove back.
Moles is 8 of 10 at the line. He's got 16.
Kid goes 8 of 10 from the line, and his percentage goes down.
Breidenthal with a nice take. Contact on the foul here.
Be interesting to see who they got. I'd have had 14. That's who I'd have had.
Kirchhoff just got hit with his third.
You're going to see it coming right into your living room there. A little reach over the top.
Yep. And missed by Breidenthal. That is the third missed free throw of the night for
Just
Mount
seems
Vernon.
like more, John. It just seems like more to me than that.
I think the reason it seems like more to you is because they haven't gotten to the line as often as Greenfield.
Yeah, and when you don't get there often and you miss 3 of them, well, that's not good. It just, as a coach, that's got to frustrate you. Those are, I mean, I know they're not free, and I know they're more difficult than people think.
Mount Vernon 7 of 10 at the line. And Greenfield Central 12 of 17. So yeah, the count in their favor. And I think Ertl was fouled here off the rebound. He was.
Yeah, just again a reach. You know, Ertl does a nice job of getting inside. And
Will DeJarnette just got whistled for his second. That is the team's 9th. So this is 1-1 for Luke Ertl. And maybe these free throw attempt will help get him into some kind of rhythm. He's 89% from there. Got it. That'll give him one more. 4 points tonight for Ertl. This to tie it. No. Rebound grabbed by Kirchhoff. This was a game that Mount Vernon controlled the entire first half. They went into the locker room leading by 8. They led by as many as 12. And then
almost
Greenfield
identical
Central
to Tuesday,
Yep.
John. Almost identical.
Moles. Yes. Dylan Moles with another basket. He was inside the arc that time, so he's got 18. Greenfield Central has been bringing up that trap as the game has gone on. They started off in a 3-2 look, and then they didn't really trap much. Then they've just brought it up, and they've also even brought it up full court at times. Ertl to Breidenthal. Rebound tipped up around, grabbed by Mullins, and he's got it. Mullins has 11 after that fast break. And he might be gimping a little bit with that left leg. Greenfield Central calls a timeout with 4:49 to go.
Yeah, Coach Meredith was able to get the timeout before Mount Vernon inbounded the basketball. I didn't see anything necessarily. I mean, maybe he landed kind of weird. We'll see here. He wanted to dunk this thing, and then he realized he didn't have it really, so he just kind of let discretion be the better part of valor and couldn't really see how he landed, but that's when he started to grab it. That almost looks like a hamstring, the way he grabbed the back of his leg. And I'll tell you, those things are not only painful. Here's another look at a different angle. He did kind of land weird there.
Didn't look like much happened to his
No, but
left.
you know, look at the to me that's a hammy, and those things have a tendency that when you try to exert, when you try to really go to that extra gear, they have a way of reaching up and grabbing you and saying, don't do that. You do that, I'm going to snap.
Now his team is back up by 5, Greenfield Central. And if you're Coach Luke Meredith, what do you think he's talking to his team about in the huddle right now?
Just being smart and making possessions count. I mean, early on they came out and you know, had a couple empty possessions, and Mount Vernon went down and converted. So they're like, guys, listen, a lot of basketball to be played, obviously more than 4.5 minutes. But we're going to go out there. We're going to continue to work the ball defensively, keep the pressure up. Let's get a couple of steals. Let's get some fouls. Let's continue to drive, try to go to the line.
What about if you're Mount Vernon? Got to find some offense here.
Well, again, Mount Vernon, you're probably looking for threes. I mean, that's you know, threes add up quicker than twos. So, you know, you're going to try to move the basketball, move without the basketball, and create an open look from behind the arc.
And Adam Hackett, who had 9 points in the first half, has not scored here in the second.
And, you know, Hackett was right down here in the corner. He was open, and he was open in his favorite spot. You got to get him the ball.
They do. Hackett tries to drive, kicking out to Ertl. Ertl to Smith. Smith for three, no, but there's Breidenthal with the rebound. In traffic, muscles it up, no. Again, tries and doesn't convert this time once more, but he's fouled.
2 offensive boards there by Eli Breidenthal. You know, you talk about what a great athlete he is, football player. Actually, baseball is his best sport. Going to Xavier to play some college baseball, you're going to see some good effort here. Goes up, works through the contact, gets the rebound, goes up a second time, gets fouled.
Breidenthal converts. He is, let's see, 6 of 7 at the line in this one. 12 points. That foul, by the way, was on Braden Robertson. He just got picked up his 4th. Breidenthal gets them both. Mount Vernon's in the double bonus now the rest of the way. Greenfield Central is in the bonus.
And that's a big deal, too. If you're Mount Vernon, you could go to the line score while the clock is stopped.
Owen Anderson off the pass from Moles, had not scored all game, and Anderson hits from the corner.
They go 2 or 3 on that jump.
They gave him a 3.
All right.
So Hackett in the corner. Ertl attacking. Nice wraparound pass to Teschendorf, but Moles altered it at the last moment. That leads to a scrum. Jump ball. And the possession arrow is with Mount Vernon.
And so the officials here are going to, ask for a towel.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to. Probably a lot of sweat. Yeah, there's Moles with the shot block. Anderson gets involved there. So does Teschendorf, as well as Will DeJarnette. Ertl in there as well.
Good call, good sportsmanship. You know, a lot of times those situations, those scrums can get a little chippy, some elbows, some pushing and shoving.
Right.
None of that. These kids just whistle blew. They stopped. They kind of unpiled, as it were.
Teschendorf to inbound. Heaves it out to Ertl. And Hackett fronted well there by Anderson. Got right out on him.
And that's the key. You know, Anderson, I'm sure, sitting over on that bench listening to Coach Meredith and saying, you know, somebody needs to get right in his shirt. I'm sick of watching him hit open threes.
Hackett tries again and knocks it down. That was not an open 3, but it was a 3 that he likes to shoot nonetheless.
And just 2 open, John. I mean, again, those other 2 possessions when he got the ball down there, there was a guy immediately in his face. That one there was a defender about 5 feet away, but not close enough. You got to really get up in his grill.
Moles attacks and scores, plus the foul. Dylan Moles, right when you need a basket, he comes up with it, and boy, this could be trouble. He is down on the ground, and he looks like he is in pain.
Well, we're going to see the replay here. See if maybe he lands awkwardly. Oh, yeah, a little contact there, and then, yeah, he may have banged his head on the floor there as he holds the back of his head. And you know what, in today's world, you know, the concussion stuff, he'll be done for the night. They won't take any chances. And they are looking at the back of his head, and trainer actually maybe, because it doesn't take much when you hit your head like that to basically cut it, or pop it open. You're going to see it on the replay here. Watch this. It's going to be a great angle of his head. Oh, he hit it on the knee of one of his players.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Well, hitting it on the knee of anything.
Yeah. Hit it on the knee of Mullins, and now Mullins is limping around too.
And also, that is the 3rd foul on Julian Smith. And you just hope that this is okay. Of course, this feels very eerie. This is happening this week, considering what happened to the Buffalo Bills player on Monday night. And also, great job by the training staff of Greenfield Central.
I think there's probably, again, it doesn't take much for a head wound to bleed.
Yep.
And, yeah, he's got blood on his hands, and now there's probably blood on the court. So blood on his hands from when he went right back to his head. But, again, he bounced it off the knee of Mullins. And then Mullins basically limped off the court, too. So how devastating would that be for Greenfield Central to lose both players? It does look like Mullins is okay. Does not appear to have any concussion-type symptoms. It's the blood thing, and they're going to have to get that stopped before he can get back in the game.
Yeah, excellent job there by the training staff to get out there and help him. Of course,
An excellent job by the camera crew. We got every single angle available there, John, and really kind of, because at first I couldn't tell. I thought he hit his head on the floor. The other angle showed it was actually off Mullins' knee. Then, great shot of his hand with full of blood. Again, he went immediately to the back of his head. And so obviously we'll see who Coach Meredith puts in.
And again, everybody, I know it's a rivalry game, but everybody in the crowd clapping for Dylan Moles after he was able to get up off the floor.
And you look out there, too, on the court there, the Mount Vernon training staff has got the bottle of, alcohol or whatever cleaning solution they use. I mean, clearly there was a day when blood on your shirt was a badge of honor. You look at those old pictures of Nolan Ryan pitching with blood on his shirt and everything, and those days are long, long gone. So, they're going to make sure they get all that.
So somebody has to shoot the free throws now for Moles.
And they've picked Robertson, who I showed does not have a free throw this year.
I show the same thing. You could go with Mullins, but he's 1 of 3 tonight. So, and this is a front end of a 1-and-1. In and out. Rebounded by Hackett. 5-point lead for Greenfield Central.
I don't know the rule, John. I wonder whether the other team gets to choose. Whether the, because you could see where maybe, like, again, use an example, Shaquille O'Neal could fake an injury, and then you'd put, if I get to choose, I'm going to take my 93%er up there. But if you were faking it, not that Moles was.
It is. The other team did get to choose.
Okay, so they chose Robertson. Okay, which is a good choice. You got to get a kid who has not been in the line all year. That's who you want. And there's a foul.
It's either a reach on Anderson or possibly on Robertson. If it's on Robertson, that's big trouble. Nope. That's Anderson's first, and Robertson's got to be careful. He's got 4. He is the only Greenfield Central player with 4.
You know what, at this point, John, I say play hard.
And Ertl converts.
You got 4 fouls. There's only 2 minutes to play.
Yep.
Get after it.
And Greenfield Central may be forced to finish this game without Moles. And Ertl misses the second. Ertl came in tonight an 89% free throw shooter, and he is 3 of 6 at the line. That is 50%. Missed free throws just hurting Mount Vernon big time. Mullins to Robertson. Robertson with a nice pass inside. And Kirchhoff has to weave his way out of trouble. He's fouled. And I think Mount Vernon knows that Greenfield Central is going to just try to use as much clock as they can. That's Breidenthal's third. Team's 10th, so now both teams are in the double bonus for the rest of the way.
Kirchhoff shoots 82% coming into the ball game. Yeah, I always call that like basically it's not really a stall. You're going to take a shot if you can get it, but you certainly want to take about 60 seconds off the play or off the game clock if you can.
Kirchhoff came into tonight averaging 10. He's got 8. Stays at 8. Hackett the rebound. And it's a 5-point lead for Greenfield Central. 47-42. 1:50 remaining. Ertl trying to get going here.
Spacing and penetration if you're Mount Vernon here.
That pass to Breidenthal was off target a little bit. He had to go skying up to get it. Hackett a 3. He's fouled on the 3-point shot attempt by Tyler Kirchhoff, who can't believe it. And his coach, Luke Meredith, tells him, Tyler, calm down.
Yeah, let's don't make a bad situation worse. Now, again, I don't know if we'll get the replay here or not, but Hackett gets the basketball, and Kirchhoff was just too far away from him. And so he had to go out there and be reckless.
Good call. Got him on the arm. And Hackett, though, not a great free throw shooter. 58%.
Couldn't tell by that. That looked really good.
He did not score in the third quarter. Has 4 here in the fourth. There's Dylan Moles trying to.
I think Dylan's going to be okay, but I don't think you can put him in the game.
I think he'll be fine for the future, but I think for the night he might be done.
Yeah. I'm looking quickly to see if they have a game tomorrow night.
They do not. Their next game is at Newcastle a week from today. And he misses. So he made 2, missed the third, 47, made 1, missed the other 2, 47-43. Greenfield Central.
So again, Greenfield's more than happy to kill some time here. You got to step out if you're Mount Vernon. You got to force the 5-second count.
And if you can't, you got to foul. Or think about it at least.
You can't let time go away, though. You can't let 60 seconds go off every possession.
Greenfield Central doing an excellent job of playing keep away. Oh, risky pass by Mullins. Kirchhoff comes down with it, dribbles out of trouble. Robertson has it. They wanted to foul him, but he got rid of it quickly. And now the foul.
And that's exactly what Greenfield Central wanted there. They used about 35 seconds and got the foul on the guy they wanted them to foul.
Tanner Teschendorf just picked up his third. Team's 11th. 2 for Mullins, and he's been off. 82% coming into tonight, 1 of 4.
Yeah, and you could almost see the disgust on his face. He's just upset with himself. So he's going to take a deep breath. He's going to really focus.
Got the second, but he was following his own shot. It's like he wasn't even sure it was actually going to go down. Greenfield Central calls a timeout to talk things over. Their lead is back to 5. They've led by as many as 6. Mount Vernon led by as many as 12 in the first half. That was when it was 20-8. But Greenfield Central started to turn the tide a little bit in the second quarter. They got outscored in that first quarter 14-8. Then they got outscored in the second by Mount Vernon 11-9. Where this game turned in favor of Greenfield Central was the third quarter. They outscored Mount Vernon 18-5 in that period, and Mount Vernon only had 1 field goal. It was a 3 from Julian Smith.
We talked a lot about the games that Mount Vernon has played over the break, and they played 4 games since Greenfield's last one, but they got to play again tomorrow. That's 3 games in basically 5 days. They played Tuesday night, 6 days, I guess. So you wonder if the youth, as Coach Meredith there is extolling his troops, if the youth combined with the extra games and things is starting to take its toll on this young Marauder team.
He's telling his guys 1 stop, and if you're Mount Vernon, you need quick scores here.
Again, spread the floor, penetrate if you can. If they stop you, kick out for a 3. If they don't, go to the basket, get fouled.
Hackett run off the 3-point line, takes it inside and scores. And then they call a foul at the end, a very late whistle. A 3-point play opportunity. Greenfield Central fans can't believe it.
You're going to see it again. He decides, I'm going to take it in. Boy, oh boy.
And that's on Robertson, so he just fouled out. Robertson fouled out with no points. Owen Anderson comes in to replace him.
Again, John, that is a very, very difficult call. For years, it's probably been the most difficult call for a basketball official to make. Is the blocker charge. I mean, there's memes, jokes about it.
Right.
Man, I'll tell you, that was a tough one on Robertson there. He does foul out. Coach Meredith has 60 seconds to replace him. What kills me all the time is that they know who they're going to do. They use the whole 60 just for spite, I guess. But, yeah, it looked to me like maybe Robertson was set there. Overall, though, I think these officials have done a really good job. There's been a lot of close ones. Almost every one of them has been called correctly via the replay that we have the benefit of.
Hackett. Yep. 48-46, and now it is a 2-point game. Greenfield Central calls for time. Or is this a timeout by Mount Vernon? They said Mount Vernon. Looked like Greenfield Central did, but Mount Vernon actually called a timeout.
Well, probably to set up some kind of full court, 3-quarter court pressure. Trapping pressure, going to try to get the basketball. I'll tell you what they can't do. They can't do what they did the last time, and that is let Greenfield tick off 40 seconds. Now, granted, it kind of worked for them because, Greenfield went to the line, did not hit both the free throws, but I wouldn't take that chance again.
Both these student sections getting crazy. It's been a packed and really awesome atmosphere here tonight. Full court pressure being brought on by Mount Vernon. Dylan Moles out of the game. He got injured earlier in this quarter. He's sitting on a chair.
The official reminds the Cougar that he can run the baseline, and he does.
Anderson inbounds to Mullins. They're still in the backcourt. They got to get it up. They do. Well done there by Kirkhoff to throw it up the floor to Hinton. And then a foul on Mount Vernon. 32.9 remaining.
Foul Owen Anderson. Anderson will go to the line.
And that's Breidenthal who picks it up. That's his fourth. Team's 12th. So we have had 23 combined fouls in the second half after we had 8 in the first half. Anderson is a man who's only taken 2 free throw attempts this year. He had made his first 2 and missed that one.
Yeah, he's another one. And again, all kids need to do this. If you miss the first one, settle down, slow. You got 10 seconds. When the official hands you the basketball, you have 10 seconds. So just go ahead, take a deep breath, block it all out.
Makes it. That gives him 4 points. Knocked away by Mullins, but picked up by Smith. He almost had a steal. Smith down the floor, bouncing it to the corner. Teschendorf stepped out. Oh no, it's an offensive foul. They say he pushed off. Tanner Teschendorf with an offensive foul push-off. That is his 4th foul.
Yeah, they're going to say he hooked him right there. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
Great call. Great call, exactly. And, the official didn't have the best angle, but he knows what it looks like.
Yeah.
He saw that arm go. He saw the player get the advantage and said, you know what, like I said earlier, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's a duck. Blow the whistle. Good call, right call.
So we're assuming that Dylan Moles' night is done. He continues to sit on a chair separated from his team. He'll finish with 20.
Yeah, that's the equivalent, John. If you got a football player who has a head injury, you take his helmet. All right, you just take it from him because you ain't getting back in. You ain't got a helmet.
Nope.
Well, the way you get Dylan Moles out of this thing is make him go sit over there by the staircase with probably the AD standing next to him.
Yep. Yeah, the athletic director is standing next to him. There was another look at that Teschendorf foul. And again, Teschendorf, he averages 6 points, 3 rebounds a game. He's been held scoreless. And Ertl, that's another big story tonight. Luke Ertl, averaging 13 points a game. He's only got 5. Breidenthal has done his usual thing. He's got 13. Adam Hackett came into tonight averaging 8. But he's got 17 for Mount Vernon. Greenfield Central looking to get it in. They're down to 2 timeouts after that last one they just took. And Mount Vernon's out of them. The inbounder is Owen Anderson.
See, now he cannot run the baseline because that's only after a made basket, so he has to stand still. He is kind of trapped in the corner here a little bit.
Looking to get it in. Does to Mullins, who's fouled immediately by Smith. Now Julian Smith has to be careful because he has 4 fouls.
Yeah, and again, I would just argue that, the heck with being careful. There's 25 or 22 and a half seconds. If you foul out, you foul out. You got to go. You got to be risky here. You're down. You got to take chances. These free throws are huge, obviously.
Mullins is 2 of 5 at the line. 2 of 6. All Dylan Moles can do now is watch. Needs to at least make this to make it a 2-possession game. Does. They bring it up. Ertl. To Teschendorf. Teschendorf drives in. Hackett. Shot fakes. Gets it in the air for a 3. No. Rebounded by Mullins. He's in trouble and he's fouled with 8.6 on the clock. Anderson's fired up. That Greenfield bench is fired up. So is the student section, trying to get their 8th win of the season. And boy, it sure would be nice if you're looking at from their perspective to see Mullins hit both of these. The foul was on Tanner Teschendorf. He just fouled out with no points. So now Mount Vernon's got to figure out who Teschendorf is going to be replaced by.
And again, Coach Rhodes knows exactly who he's going to put in, but you've got time, and coaches always take that time. Now, again, getting back to that shot, though, John, Mount Vernon got exactly what they wanted. They got a Hackett three in his area where he loves it. Shot fake, shakes the defender, step back behind the line. It just didn't go. That's it. It just didn't go. They got exactly what they wanted.
It is Connor Shank who is coming in to replace the fouled out Teschendorf. The free throw for Mullins, the first of two. Yes.
Now, Braylon, like you said earlier, as a kid came in shooting 82%, not been nearly that successful. I'll bet he's at the free throw line tomorrow morning just practicing.
He goes 1 of 2 on this trip, and then he knocks it away from Bridenthal, misses it, knocks it free again. It's loose on the ground. Last touch by Greenfield because Anderson got it. He was on his back, but there's only 2.7 seconds remaining. So really, Mount Vernon's just going to inbound the ball. Time will run out. Here is Ertl from half court, lets it go. It's short, and the Greenfield Central Cougars are 8-1 on the season. And they go to 2-1 in Hoosier Heritage Conference play. Mount Vernon drops to 7-5, and they suffer their first conference defeat of the year. They are 3-1. Jim, this Greenfield Central team has not gotten off to the best start in the last several years, but man, this year they have certainly done that. 8 of their first 9 games have come out by way of victory. Your final thoughts on what was an outstanding basketball game?
Well, it really was. You can see there, I can't see who's holding it up. It's Dylan Moles.
Yep.
That is the traveling trophy in the Hoosier Heritage Conference. Yep. So Mount Vernon had it. Greenfield, by virtue of the victory, gets it. Moles couldn't be happier. All of a sudden, I'm sure his head wound feels a lot better. But no, John, what I think is Mount Vernon came out strong in the first half, much like they did against Westfield on Tuesday night. Greenfield Central made some adjustments. And again, Coach Rhodes has got to get that fixed. I will say this about Greenfield. Do not sleep on them. I understand they lost to New Palestine. Kurt Darling and I called that game. It was tied at the end of 3. Mullins set most of the game with foul trouble before eventually fouling out. I like this Greenfield team. I like the energy. Coach Rhodes has got some stuff to clean up, but so does everybody at this point in the season.
Greenfield Central's next game will be at Newcastle on the 13th of January. Mount Vernon's got to turn around and go to Whiteland tomorrow for a game at 7:30. Jim Leisure and myself, John Herrick, will be back with you next Friday when New Palestine takes on Pendleton Heights and another great matchup on 9-Star TV. Big thanks to John Painter and our entire crew. For my partner, Jim Leisure, I'm John Herrick saying so long from Mount Vernon. Your final score for the final time: Greenfield Central 51 and Mount Vernon 46. You've been watching high school boys basketball on 9-Star TV.